What's up? Welcome to the very first episode of Lit News. It's the latest in tech news, served hot just for you. Qualcomm has announced they've achieved a 5G chip size small enough to fit in mobile phones. You'll hear advertised numbers around 5 gigabits per second, but in reality, this is about gigabit speed for your phone, so pretty cool. And by comparison, today's 4G speeds are around 70 megabits per second. That's over 14 times faster. So there's two big things here that I think are pretty cool. The first one has to do with the electromagnetic spectrum, right? So the standard cell networks use lower frequency bands near about 700 megahertz, or that translates to about 43 centimeters in a wavelength. The farther up the electromagnetic spectrum you go toward visible light, the higher transfer speeds you can achieve. 5G moves us up that spectrum, up that electromagnetic spectrum. And now as you move up the spectrum, the frequency goes up and the wavelength gets shorter. So the big news for 5G is being able to hit millimeter wavelengths, which basically means 24 gigahertz frequencies and up, which translates to more data transferred. Now the main problem we'll see is that those higher frequency signals are limited to shorter distances. Why? Well, they tend to bounce off surfaces rather than move through them, like your hand blocking the signal just by holding the phone. Your beefy hand is enough to block it, so they'll end up loading close to a dozen antennae inside the phone, so it can always find a way out. So that's cool point number one, getting data transferred on higher frequency portion of the electromagnetic spectrum. Soon enough, we'll be shooting gamma rays at each other, transferring terabits per nanosecond on a 300 exahertz frequency. Dang, that's a nerdy sentence. So cool point number two, the initial 5G prototypes from 2017 were so large that they had to be moved by a projector card. Check this out. And then 18 months later, it's the size of your thumbnail in your phone, and they're gonna put many of them. It's ridiculous. Bonus feature though, with 5G, you can put your phone next to a raw egg while on a conference call, and it'll hard boil it in 23 minutes. Lit News topic 2. Google's parent company, Alphabet, released their Q2 earnings yesterday. A couple quick notes from the summary. Their earnings per share were beat expectations. They hit $11.75 per share. Expectations were about $9.59. Expected revenue for the quarter was about $32.17 billion. They hit about $32.66 billion. And their stock was up about 4%, 5% after trading yesterday. But there was some interesting information wrapped in all this. Big news was around their $5 billion fine by the European Union, which Google is obviously appealing. The EU antitrust regulators claim Google is using its free Android software to push consumers to its products. And I'm like, well, duh. Their specific concern is the fact that the Google makes and gives away Android for free, but in that process, they bundle in Google Search and Google Chrome. Their concern is that it's causing a massive barrier to entry for new search engines and browsers. So Google created and is giving away Android software for free. The EU says, great, just stop forcing Google applications. I'm curious what y'all think of this. Seems like a reasonable thing to me, but I'm curious what y'all think of it. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Is Google blocking others from entering the search game by doing this? Google's argument in the appeal is that basically those apps can be uninstalled or replaced after the phone is turned on by the user. And Google's hinting that if they're not allowed to bundle in their Google applications into the free Android software, that Android software might not be free anymore. So as it stands today, Google doesn't charge phone manufacturers for Android and to license Google Play, but that might change. So the EU hit Google with a $5 billion fine and said, if you don't fix this in 90 days, we're gonna start charging you up to 5% of the average daily worldwide revenue for Alphabet, for the company. What do y'all think of that? This honestly might even be a case of kind of too little too late, if this was something that really mattered, if they felt like it was a barrier to entry. So I'd argue that Google's entrenched enough already in the European Union that new Android phone users are going to immediately install the Google apps that they felt like were probably missing when they turned the phone on anyway. Just like Apple phones today, users don't have Google apps already pre-installed, but they'll go and, I mean, that's likely the very first app that they do install. Go look at the list of the top free apps, download it on the Apple Store, and many of those are Google applications. So Google is appealing this, but in the meantime, it has to set that $5 billion fine in a holding account anyway. Can I volunteer to hold that? Nobody will notice the fractions of...
All right, so when the subroutine compounds the interest, right, it uses all these extra decimal places that just get rounded off.
A side note on all this about Google as well. Google Cloud Next conference is happening this week in San Francisco. It'll be interesting to see. I'll try to follow some of the cloud news that comes out from that this week. Their motto for the conference is kind of the cloud for everyone. So The cloud for everyone is built by everyone. The cloud for everyone, this, that, etc. All right, next news item. Siri, cover your ears on this one, all right? Alexa, turn up the bass. Alexa just announced that you can adjust your equalizer on the Echo or the Echo Dot. You can do it two ways, either on the application or via your voice, right? Voice command. Alexa, turn the treble up. Alexa, turn down the bass, whatever. It's pretty cool that they added it, but I'm not sure how often it's going to get used. I imagine for an audio file that they're not going to be typically that pleased with the Echo speakers anyway. The Echo's not that bad. The Echo Dot, however, sounds like it's sitting in a tin can underwater. It's pretty bad. That speaker only functions if it's plugged into some external speakers. So in that case, if it's plugged into some external speakers, it seems to make sense to me that it's kind of cool that you can adjust the EQ. They'll also have some different presets as well. I see high use for things like audiobooks, where you want to actually decrease the bass and hear more of the mid-range, hear more of the vocals, or maybe podcasts if you're listening to podcasts on your Echo or Echo Dot. That's where I see this fitting in. However, my family does listen to quite a bit of bass-heavy, sick beats in the household, so I will have to check it out. Additionally, it currently only supports English, but other languages are coming soon. All right, y'all, that's what's up for today. Thanks for joining me on my first episode. If you've got an update that's on fire that you feel like I missed, ping me on Twitter at Aaron Bewley, and I'll try to drop it in the next episode. All right, stay lit, fam. See you tomorrow.